Hey, this is Shawn. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to review a replacement sunroof module, and this is my newly acquired 2001 SC2, and it did come with a sunroof, which is what I wanted. However, when you switch the button on, the sunroof doesn't work. And so after researching this problem, I found a couple of solutions. The first is you can go to Saturn and they'll charge you about $800 for the same inferior sunroof module that'll break again. Or you can go to an online company that actually remanufactures the guides out of metal, but they want upwards of $400 for their replacement. And so what I did is I found a guy by the name of Jeff Weston, and he does rebuild these sunroof modules, and he actually puts in replacement aluminum parts just like the other guys do. And so here's the package that arrived today from him. I got a hold of him and I asked him to send me a module and I would do a review of it, and he agreed, and so that's what I'm going to do today. Here I've unpacked the package that Jeff sent me, and one thing I noticed, even though the box was made out of a bigger box, it was extremely well packed. I didn't see any damage to the box or to the module itself, and you can see that he's included corner protection on here. What else Jeff includes is he includes a new rear dome light, just in case you break yours when you try to remove it. And also, unlike the other guys, he includes a motor with his replacement module, which he claims has been timed correctly so that the vent of this portion of the sunroof will work. And then finally, he's also included a return shipping label for shipping the core back to him. The first step in removing and replacing our sunroof module is to take a look at the glass, and you'll notice that it's flush with the roof in the front and it's slightly recessed here in the rear. And so what we're going to do when we go to replace this glass, we're going to try and recreate that. So just make a note of that before you get too far. So what I've done here so far is I've removed the headliner, and Richpin has an excellent video on that. A couple things that are a little bit different when you have a sunroof is your headliner is also held on with this hook and loop tape. You can see I kind of ripped it off the headliner there. Also, if you're lucky enough to have some three-door action going on here, it makes removing the headliner a little bit easier. And then set the headliner someplace out of the way and safe where it won't get dirty. And so inside the car, the glass is held on by 6 T25 Torx head bolts here. The module is held on by 8 10mm bolts. 2 on the side here, 1 in the front corner, and then 2 next to the motor. And so we're going to remove the module now. I have removed the glass here, and next we need to disconnect this white connector and this black one from the motor. We also need to disconnect the drain lines, 1 on each corner of the sunroof module, and then we can remove our 10mm bolts and drop our module out. I've just removed the module, and also take note that I had a couple of electrical wires that were hooked to the module that I needed to release. And so here we are, and here's my module that I just removed. There's my glass, and the ceiling part of the sunroof is held on with some little guides that are on springs. And so you just pop those little springs out and pull your ceiling piece out, and then this is what will be installed on the new rebuilt module, and then we'll get it back reinstalled. Alright, I just got this ceiling piece installed on the new module, and one thing I forgot to mention is you want to keep your hands clean because you're dealing with your headliner. And so what I use is some hand cleaner These are scrubbing wipes. And also I wanted to kind of take some close-ups here of this rebuilt module, and you can kind of see the metal guide piece that's made out of aluminum that Jeff has fabricated and installed in here, as opposed to the old one, which is plastic and is undoubtedly cracked in there. And so here's a few more close-ups of this rebuilt module that I just received. Okay, it looks like a nice piece, so let's get it installed. Here we are back inside the car, and what I've done is I have reinstalled the module and the glass. And so the first thing you want to do is get the module back in, get all your 10 millimeters started, and then get your glass in and get your Torx head screws started. And Jeff did include some instructions on how to reinstall everything. And so, summarizing, what you do is you put your glass back in, start your bolts on it, but don't tighten them, and don't tighten your module yet either. And once you're to this point where all the bolts are started, tighten up your 2 center bolts on your module, then tighten your front bolts, the 4 up here, 2 next to the motor, and the 2 in the rear, and then snug up the 2 front bolts on the glass, and then adjust the glass up or down so that it's fairly flush with the roof line, and then tighten those up. Then do the same thing with the rear 2 bolts, snug them up, and then flush the top of the glass with the roof line, and then tighten them, and then finally tighten your center ones. Also, what I want to do while I've got this headliner down is I want to blow some compressed air into these drain tubes. And so I've got my little air gun here, and I'm just going to stick it in here and just blow those out. That's something that some folks recommend doing once a year, and so we're going to do that while we're in here. Okay, I've got everything back in, and I have reconnected my electrical connectors. Also, I've made sure that these tubes didn't get underneath the module while I was tightening it up. I have reconnected all 4 of my drain tubes and got the key on, so let's give this thing a try. That sounded pretty good. And it looks like I've got a working sunroof again. And as you can see, also I took great care in realigning my glass back the way it was, and the last step before I put the headliner back up is I'm going to pull the car out and dump some water on it and make sure I don't have any leaks. And so this is the rebuilt sunroof module by Jeff Weston. Okay, I am back. I've got the headliner back up, got the light back in, and the sunroof works. I'm about to take it for a test drive. The tools I used for this repair: I used my panel puller, I used a couple versions of a T25, I used my 10 millimeter with an extension, I used a T47 to get the seatbelt off, I used my Phillips, a 7 millimeter, and a small flathead. And the total time I spent, including time fiddling with the camera, 1 hour and 43 minutes. And so now, after I get down back from my test drive, I will box up the old malfunctioning module, including the motor, and I will send it back to Jeff, and I will get my core back. So thanks again, Jeff Weston, for giving me back my sunroof.